take a small saliva sample, you send it in, and they analyze that to look for epigenetic markers that might show what your biological age is like. Well, if we assume this test is accurate, my real age is actually several numbers, but they combine to show a biological age of roughly 36, which is far better than I expected, frankly. It's not all good news, though. My brain and my liver are actually aging a little faster than the rest of my body. I also took a DEXA scan and a VO2 max test to get a sense of my body's composition and overall fitness levels.
VAT stands for visceral adipose tissue. In my opinion, this is the most important metric out of this whole process. There's a lot of data and statistics out there that correlate high levels of visceral tissue with an increased likelihood of diabetes, heart disease, that sort of stuff. So you guys score 205. The high risk range is above 160. Anything you can do, especially as you get past the age of 50, to get that number closer to 100, I would definitely recommend.
Like, obviously, I'm not going to drop this 205 to 0, but what is the sort of things you would hope to see after a month of fairly intense lifestyle change?
If weight loss is your goal and you really dial into nutrition, I think somewhere anywhere between 2 to 8 pounds a month. I know it's a wide range, but that's what I would say.
Okay, that's fair. This waistband strap mark is disturbing. It's a lot to take in.
All right, we're ready to go. Excited?
No.
No. All right, let's go ahead and sit on the treadmill here.
I got a VO2 score of 34.6. I'm on the lower end of average, which is probably fine for someone who barely does any exercise, but there's lots of room for improvement. We also tracked weight and sleep. Then it was time to start the plan.
Okay, so today is day 1 of the Brian Johnson blueprint plan for me.
So this is day 2 of doing Brian Johnson's blueprint.
We started with the supplements. Brian takes a lot of supplements. So many. So many. We used the recommended list from his blueprint starter guide, but omitted anything that required a prescription. Buying a month's worth of these supplements cost over $1,000 by itself.
It's closer to what you would see an elite athlete try to do in terms of optimizing their body, but also just like what it would be like for people who aren't eccentric billionaires to do this stuff with like the attitude that he has. Cause like I walked into the grocery store to try to find just the ground macadamia nuts.
I could find ground macadamia nuts. I'm going to have to grind them myself. One of the items that struck me today was fresh squeezed pomegranate juice.
Bro, I was looking all over for that.
It's not that attainable for everybody. Like, unless you have a staff who can squeeze pomegranates for you every morning.
For the diet portion, we followed Brian's recipes for his daily meals, the green giant, the super veggie, and the nutty pudding. We were also allowed a third meal each day that we left open to interpretation, as long as it was 500 calories or less. Brian is vegan, but Rob and I are not, so we allowed ourselves to have meat 3 times a week, as long as it was 1 serving or less and accompanied by vegetables and no processed foods. We also didn't allow ourselves caffeine, alcohol, or THC. Then there was exercise. This is exercise. It's just like normal things you might do, except it's not fun, and I don't enjoy it. We did an hour of exercise every day, with roughly 10 minutes of each workout dedicated to high-intensity training. Rob did weight training, I mainly walked. I walked a lot. In fact, I walked over 100 miles over the course of the experiment. So what's it like to live on the blueprint plan? Well, once you get used to taking massive amounts of supplements, that's not really something that impacts your day-to-day life. One weird side note, I noticed that the supplements had a substantial impact on my body odor. I think it was the iron supplements, because I noticed I had a metallic smell after working out. Also, more than once, I had coworkers tell me that my skin was glowing, which was super, super weird. The diet was mainly boring. There's nothing unpleasant about the food, with the possible exception of the spermidine and the green giant, which does take some getting used to. It's just boring, eating the same thing every day. With a little preparation, it's not too hard to pack all the ingredients you need to do Blueprint while you travel, but you will need to get used to the idea of watching your family eat food at restaurants that you can't. Just like at work, when all your colleagues can eat things you can't.
The thing that I think makes it mostly boring is that it's the same thing over and over again every day, which is probably kind of the point, that Brian's trying to take all the choice out of the situation. You're just always sort of forced to make the right choice. My only concern is a month long enough to have a measurable impact on my health or my biological age? Probably not. But I have to say, having done it now, it's not unpleasant. It's just boring.
It's Thursday, June 22nd. This is my 4th day. I measured myself before doing this weight-wise, and I was about 232. I stepped on the scale this morning, and I am 222. I've only really been able to get to 2 meals. But food, man, food is rough. I need some flavor, like just basic flavors.
Also, it's a lot of food. You are not hungry on this diet. Honestly, I was often so full that I didn't even want to eat a 3rd meal. To break up the monotony, I would change up the recipes a little bit without deviating from the diet.
Well, I'm 11 days in to the Blueprint diet by Brian Johnson. So far, I have lost a fair amount of weight, something like 8 to 10 pounds, depending on when I weigh myself. Definitely lost a lot of fat on my face. Not sure I've lost it in my belly.
Finding an hour of time every day for working out was a challenge, but I found that if I listened to a good audiobook, it passed the time a lot more quickly. Frankly, I was hoping that after doing this for a month, every day, I'd finally have the experience of having some sort of endorphin rush associated with exercise. But I never did. I'm apparently just not wired that way.
So the last 6 days have not been fun. I realized this morning that I had not been putting one of my regular prescription medications in to my nightly supplement regime for the last 6 days. So that probably contributed a great deal to my overall feeling of malaise, brain fog, fatigue, and just general confusion and vertigo. Definitely hoping that improves things because I was very much on the verge of quitting last night.
Yeah, feeling good, feeling strong. I'm gonna take these pills, take the green giant.
When I started this experiment, my main concern was that it would work, but that it would make me miserable. I mean, what's the point in living forever if you just want to die right now?
Okay, so today is day 24 of the Brian Johnson Blueprint plan. I have to say, I don't think I'm going to continue this afterwards as is. I'll probably do something similar, but I probably won't do the exact same diet. And I'll probably try and keep up as much of the exercise as I can, because I feel like it has been good for me overall. See what the next 6 days bring.
But at the end of 30 days, I didn't have the urge to jump into a deep dish pizza and never look back. Oddly enough, I felt like I only wanted to change a few things about the blueprint plan to make it accommodate my lifestyle a little better.
Okay, so this is my last day of the Brian Johnson blueprint plan. I have been doing this for 29, this will be 30 days. This is my last super veggie lunch. Had my last green giant, and I gotta say, I do feel better. I do feel like I just feel better overall. I don't feel perfect, I don't feel necessarily younger, but I do feel like I have more energy. I've lost a lot of weight. I feel like my energy throughout the day is a lot more even. I just generally feel better.
I think that's the biggest hack or adjustment to this, is that you do have control over your body and how it feels and whatnot to some extent, to the extent that we have free will in the first place. But you can take agency over that stuff, and you might as well while you're young, because by the time you're old, it's too late.
So the blueprint plan wasn't hell. It was just boring. The real question was, did it work? To find out, I took a few more measurements. Another DEXA scan, another VO2 max, a blood test, and another biological aging test. Let's look at the data. I definitely saw a steady decline in my weight. I lost about 20 pounds over the course of the 30 days, which was more than I expected, but maybe less than I'd hoped. Still, it was a clear win. My sleep data wasn't as clear. I don't think I saw a huge improvement in my sleep quality or quantity, which is a shame, because it's one of the most important things for your overall health. The DEXA scan was another clear win. Looking at my body composition, you could see I hadn't just lost weight, but I'd lost fat where it mattered most.
Your visceral fat area is at about 165 right now. Your last scan was coming in at about 210. So you've been able to drop that by 40, 50 points. Wow. So I'd say you can't really do much better than that.
The VO2 max test was a miserable slog still, but I saw a clear improvement in my overall score going from a 34.6 to a 36.8. My blood test results were also great. My cholesterol and triglycerides were dramatically lower than my previous blood test. My triglycerides went from over 300 to just over 70, which is incredible. And my LDL, which is the bad cholesterol, has gone way down. It went down from 126 to 92. So overall, I had lost weight and was in better shape. But had I really slowed or reversed my aging? For that, we looked at the results of the biological age test. And yes, it appears that Blueprint did work. In fact, much more effectively than I had expected. My biological age went from 36 to 33, and I saw improvements in almost every category. Although we couldn't afford another DEXA scan or VO2 max test for Rob, he saw dramatic improvements as well. He dropped 25 pounds in weight, lost 6 inches off his waist, and he saw a 40 to 70% improvement in his weightlifting performance. Now, we fully admit that there's a lot of debate around the accuracy of biological aging tests, but if you accept them as a reasonable measure of our body's overall age, then yes, we reversed aging by adopting Brian's blueprint plan. So, having seen these numbers, having seen this dramatic improvement in my health, it makes me reticent to go back to living my life the way I was before. It makes me feel like I probably need to at least keep most of the things from the blueprint plan. I'm definitely going to make a few changes, but I'm probably going to make them very slowly and be very careful to watch how they impact my body and how my body performs.
Brian Johnson's blueprint, there's a cadre of people that when they interface with this and they see it, they see the food that he eats and they think of it's a miserable way to live. I think when you just like look at it from a macro level, it's not crazy. It's actually just like pretty simple sound advice. Eat whole foods, take supplements, and exercise.
It's been several months since we filmed this experiment, and I've kept my regular, miserable exercise schedule. My diet isn't anything crazy, and I'm taking fewer supplements. I've kept the weight off, and I'm actually still losing a little bit of weight. My wife says I'm still 43, though.
And the hard reset on aging, I guess it's like sort of TBD, right? You have to see what the results are and all that. It didn't feel like I'm like getting younger in any real sense, but Brian's been doing this for 2 years, and we've been doing it for a few weeks, right?
I think for me, it's more of a hard reset on the idea of wellness. Should you think of your health only when it's a problem? Maybe you should start thinking about it every day, what you can do to improve it every day, as opposed to just thinking about it when it's become an issue already.
So what will it mean as we learn more about how to optimize our diet and our lifestyles to extend our lives? So picture a scenario where we had a good sense of what foods and activities would extend our healthy lifespans. You don't need to close your eyes to imagine that. Just look around you, because we already live in that world. Doctors have been telling people to eat better and exercise regularly for decades, and for just as long, we've been ignoring them. You can call that human nature. This is a hard reset and exercise regularly for decades, and for just as long, we've been ignoring them. You can call that kids in that world. Doctors have been telling people to eat better and exercise regularly for decades, and for just as long, we've been ignoring them. You can call that human nature.
This is a hard reset on how we understand